Hey guys, apologies for the late response on this. So this is the homework for tonight. We're going to cover communication and teamwork around culture. So the first lesson that we're going to do is we're going to do understanding culture as part of your communication and teamwork module. All you will be required to do for the homework is to just watch this video, read the learner's guide of those pages that we're talking about in this PowerPoint, and then we'll carry out our activities tomorrow to reinforce your learning. So our agenda for this video is we're going to cover our multicultural society, what is culture, values and communication, and this isn't spelled correctly, but stereotypes. So the biggest question is, why are we looking at culture? And this can be found on page 6 of your learner's guide, except for these two statistics. Now, at the moment, in the latest census that was carried out from Statistics New Zealand and New Zealand, it found that a quarter, so that's 25%, 1 in 4 people in New Zealand were actually born overseas, so they're not actually from New Zealand. Now what that tells us is that we're becoming more and more of a diverse country. Now on the right of this PowerPoint, you'll see a list of jobs. Now this is just a small amount of thousands to millions of jobs that in today's world where people are actually working overseas online. So in terms of communication, in terms of the work environment, it's becoming more and more global. More walls have been brought down, and we're being brought closer and closer together with the technology that we have. Right down to even the price. If you look at the prices of flights, it's now cheaper nowadays to start flying overseas. Now, we're being brought closer together, but what that means is we need to gain a better understanding of other cultures around us. Now, biggest question is, what is culture? Now, when we look at the word culture, we look at different aspects. So if you look at page 8 to 10 of the workbook, it explains to you how when we look at culture, you compare it to an onion with layers. And the first layer, when you look at the onion, comes to behavior. Now, behavior is, what do we actually do and what is seen by others. Underneath is another layer of that, which is value. So what we see as wrong and right actually influences our behavior. So if you look at certain, some of you might see that culturally, if an elder comes onto the bus, that it's wrong to let them stand up. So what you'll do is you'll show that your behavior is that you would move and let them sit down. So your values or what you deem as wrong and right affects your behavior and what others see you do. Other examples is like how if you look at certain cultures, they might wear the burqa, but that act or that behavior is driven by that value of what they believe should be the case. Beliefs are what we see as true and untrue. So in one culture, it might be seen as true or untrue that if baby oil shines, you might be seen as a virgin, and if it doesn't shine, it might not be. So that's an idea, a concept of what we see as true or untrue. Now, worldview is a little bit more deeper and complex. Worldview is how we see the world. So one example might be religion and the rules of governance. Again, I'd recommend turn to page 8 and 10 to have a look at this aspect of it. Now, values and communication. Now, how do values affect communication? So these are some 3 main ones here is power versus status. So in terms of power and status, in some cultures there's a hierarchy. So there might be certain people at this level and then certain people at a higher level. So if you look at certain cultures, more traditional cultures and island cultures, you might have power and status in terms of your elders or people that are higher authority. So like, or even in the multiculture, certain people that are allowed to talk, that other people aren't allowed to talk. That's something that might affect communication. Or in other cultures, at certain levels in the workplace, certain bosses talking with the lower people in the staff of the chain isn't something that would be seen as appropriate. Another one is gender roles. So in certain cultures, there might be certain practices that need to be followed with gender roles. If you look at the Māori culture, generally it's more acceptable for a kiss on the cheek as opposed to a hongi. In other cultures, it might not be appropriate to touch a woman or shake hands with a woman. You might have to do something else instead. So gender roles have a big say, or a big effect on how we can communicate with other cultures. So if we're working with other cultures overseas, they might not even allow you. You might not even be allowed to talk to them or maintain eye contact or any physical contact. So that's things that we need to think about when it comes to communication with other cultures. Now, you've got your individualist and your collectivist perspectives. So these are two types of ways that people see things. Now, individualists, you might find a lot more with Western cultures where they see me. It's me. What decisions I make should only affect me. Whereas your collectivist view is we. So I'm not seen as just an individual, but I act on behalf of the bigger picture. So if I'm an individualist, I may not see something in terms of what I do affects my culture or my people, my community. Last but not least, we're going to cover stereotypes, which you can find in page 16. It is important for us to not allow ourselves to gain stereotypes. Now, stereotypes is when you meet enough of a certain culture and you start categorizing or creating a certain pattern, and that pattern might be what might lead you to believe that, okay, everyone from this culture must be like this. So what you're seeing here on this PowerPoint, you might see here like Jonah from Australia, that character Jonah. That might create stereotypes of other people and what they think Tongans might be like. So that's not necessarily a good thing. If you look at Auntie Tala, as funny as she can be, might lead to stereotypes from people around how Samoans might act. And then you've got certain stereotypes that might exist from the Māori culture. So after this video, I want you to have a look at the workbook and have a bit of a read on each section. In tomorrow's class, we're going to do a bit of a summary around it. Once you've done that, I want you to go down here. There's a forum, and I want you to participate in that forum, put in your entry, and that's your homework done for the night. I'll see you in class tomorrow.